Hello, I'm going to show how you can use the tags that you created using Kepware, and you're going to use them for adding dynamic or animation to your object using Graphworx. So I'm moving to my old laptop. Now here I have this bar that I use these tools on the left side to create it. I'm going to delete it and I make another one. Now I'm just grabbing the rectangle shape and I drag and create my bar. Now this bar should rotate or spin according to the task description. Now I go to dynamic under the action. Last week we learned all about changing the color with pressing the push button. This time we are going to look at the rotation. So it is the third option here. Now I'm going to say yes, the angle can vary between 0 and 360. For the data tag, what I need to do is to find the tag that I just now created. For doing that, on the left side, under the OPCDA, you would find the Kepware or Kepware. As you can see, there are many of them. So the one that we just now created would go under this one. Many times you need to refresh it because it takes a little bit of time to have updated tags here. So what I would normally do is before I even open the folder, I would press the refresh. This way I make sure that everything is updated. Takes a little bit of time, and then you would find your name. That's why it is very important to have a identifiable name here, so you would find it easier. Now for example here you would look for the things that you have created. For me, my name is here, so under the simulation data you can find your device that you have created, and also you would say on the right side you can find your tags. So these are the things that I have made from before. You can use the one that just now I showed how to create in previous video, or you can use a similar thing under your own name and then you use them. For me, I'm going to use this file here. So by selecting that, you're going to say that you want that dynamic to follow this data. Now I called it, last time that I made that, I called it a spinning data. I'm going to try this. If it doesn't work, I come back and I find the newer data that I created. Now I press OK. And here there is a range override. You may do that for defining a new range, and that will scale the data that is coming inside. Now I'm just leaving that as it is, and I press apply and press OK. Now if you go to runtime, well, ignore my lift, I will explain that part later. But as you can see, my bar is moving, but the move is very slight. I don't know if you can notice that. So I go back to my configuration and I double click on that, and then you can see that normally if you double click on an object that doesn't have dynamic, you wouldn't see extra tab here. But now because we added dynamic, the rotation is added. Now if you would change that to from, let me change that from 0 to 360, that would fix the problem of as you can see, now the bar is spinning. So that is task 1. Now I'm going to explain how I created that lift that is moving up and down in that house. And before I forget, I put the pictures on Brightspace, but you can also create your own pictures. Now, for the lift, you can bring the pictures. For doing that, you can use just copy and paste, or also you can use this bar here, import image. So import image, you can select the image that you want and you can bring it here. So after that, if you put one object, if you create any object, for example here, you can see that I have this house and then I have this allocated area for the lift. That's why I use this picture. But if you have other, creative idea, you can use your own picture. This is the one I made last year and I'm using it. So this is just a rectangle. I grabbed it from here and I changed the color and I just put it there. For adding the tag, I did the same thing. So I would just add the dynamic, and this time for the dynamic I added the I added the action, and I added the location. So we have done the color, we have done the rotation, and this time we use location. And for the location, you have option of defining the area that you want it to move. I'm just going to show it here one more time so I'm not missing anything. So here I'm making another lift. All right, sorry, I don't know why I made 2 of them. So this is the one that you make, and right now it doesn't have any dynamic. So if I go to runtime, as you can see, there is no dynamic involved with that. Now I go back to configure, and I want to add dynamic. The type of dynamic would be similar to that, and it is called location or slider. Now here you have different types of movements. So for the lift, for this example, I selected the one that is moving up and down. And for the data tag, I have this lift data which I created, which is very similar to the ramp that I showed how to create. So you can use the ramp that you just learned from the previous video, or in this case I want it to be same as my other lift, so I click on that. Again, you can change the range here. I see how it goes without changing the range. Now something that is very important is how you can actually define the limit of that movement. So if I click OK, right now, let's see what happens. So there is something wrong about the dynamic that I added. Set the limit, we didn't do the set the limit. So set the limit is showing how do you want it to move, or in this case I'm going to say I want it to go all the way up there and come back to its original place. Now I'm going to test it. Well, as you can see, there is something wrong with my data, and for fixing that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the range. and I'm going to change that from 1 to 10. Now I go to runtime, and they're following similar path, both of my lifts. Yeah, you can make it smoother and go slower by the way that you are creating that tag on Kepware. Now the next project will be to have a push button here, and to move the drill machine lower. For doing that, we need to separate two parts of this picture. So the part that is movable will be separate, and will be, I did it, for example, I cut the picture in half and I removed the white area of the picture here, because that part is going to move and the lower part will be staying the same. I will show how I created the button last time. So here down below you can click on that, and based on last week you know how to create that. Here you can put it next to this one, or you can also make another shape and turn it to a push button. Now I will explain a little bit of clues in my next video, how I want this drilling machine to move up and down. So follow up with the next video.